it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing too crazy or anything like that. Let me see if I can show you my screen. Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Yeah. So I'm just going to show you guys some ways to make some Photoshop brushes that you can start to use in your own projects. And then your assignment will be to create 5 different brushes of your own and then use it in like a project or a little test so that we can see how it works. All right. And then if you want, you can even share it with some of your classmates if they want them. All right. So there's a few different ways to make Photoshop brushes. The first way is inside of Photoshop, and then the other way that I like to do sometimes is I'll go inside of Substance Designer and I'll show you guys how to do that. Some people may not be familiar with Substance Designer. It's a node-based program and it allows you to kind of chain different nodes of noise and shapes and stuff like that together to really get you some very interesting things. So there's like people who do VFX. I've used it for texturing. I've used it for VFX stuff. So it's very, very well-rounded, well-rounded software, and it does really does a pretty good job of doing what we need it to do. So yeah, let's get that started. Okay. So we are currently in Photoshop right now, and for the most part, what I would say for best standard practices is you don't want to get too crazy unless you're doing something that needs to be like super high resolution. You don't want anything that's going to be too crazy. So as we're in Photoshop now, what I usually do is I'll make a square template. So I'll go File, New, and then I create 1920 by 1920. You can do 2000 by 2000. You don't want anything too crazy. So, and then 72, maybe 300. Nope, that's 00. At 300, 300 resolution, and then this is perfectly fine. All right, you don't need the background unless you want the background in there. And then I'm just gonna delete this, and then I'll just show you a quick way that so if I have like a circle brush, I'll make it black and then create a new layer. And then maybe I draw something like this. All right, so I've got my shape. You try to center it as much as you can. Right, I've got it centered in here. And then this sphere is fine, but maybe I want to do something a little more intricate. So maybe I'll hit E on my keyboard. And then maybe I'll use the hard round again. Maybe I want to do something kind of sci-fi-y. Right? Let me be just gonna make something interesting. E is the keyboard shortcut for the eraser. So I'm just using that to remove some of the pieces. And you don't have to use a circle. You can use a square brush, right? I'm just trying to find something interesting in my shapes. All right, this is cool. All right, and then I will go up to my edit, and then I'm going to say define brush preset, and you can see it's going to bring up our current layer, whatever layer we have, and it's going to go, okay, sample brush 2. I'm going to go crazy brush. Crazy brush. I'm going to name it. Okay. All right. I've named my brush here. And now my brush, as you can see, it turned whatever my brush cursor into that. All right. So now I can go here and then I can find my brush, my crazy brush. It's right here at the bottom. So now I've got my crazy brush. So now I'm going to show you how I can use it. So I'm going to go File, New, and then I'm just going to create just a landscape. And then I can just reduce the opacity and then start to paint with my new brush. All right. It's very easy. It's a simple, very, very simple thing to do. And the beauty about brushes is because we have all these brush presets, so you can change the spacing so it's more like a stamp, right? You can stamp it, or you can reduce the paint, the spacing, so it's more, right? You can get some very interesting things going on inside of your brush, right? So I'm just gonna, let's make a new layer, and then so we can do something like that. So we can have interesting spacing, size. You can change the transfer dynamic. You can change the color. You can change the scattering. You know, so that now you're getting some interesting looking things there, right? Remove the scattering there. You can change the color dynamic, right? You change how it kind of transfers on the paper if it's got color added to it. I'm not going to do that. Let's do jitter. So now you can see that it's got some interesting like spacing in between it, so it's jittering the brush itself. Okay. You can change the rotation, noise, all that stuff, right? So it's just a very, very interesting way to increase the spacing a little bit. All right, you can really start to get something interesting. Right, something that looks kind of brutalist, you know. So you really can start to get some interesting looking things when you start messing with these, and then you can just do E to remove things, so you can, you know. All right. So, you know, you can really start to get something very interesting very quickly just by creating your own brushes. Right, and these are custom, so you can do whatever you want with them. You can probably sell them too if you really want to. Um, so this is just one brush, and then you can just repeat that process, right? All right, so this is one way to make a brush, right? And then let's see. So the other way that I would go about making a brush, if I wanted to make a brush for let's see. The other way I would make a brush is Substance Designer. All right, so Substance Designer is a node-based program, and it allows you to create different kind of nodes, and you can chain them together. Usually it's used for texturing, which is why you have all of these outputs over here. So you've got your base color output, normal output, roughness, metallic. This is really cool if you're texturing stuff and you're like, you want something super specific, or you've got some noise in mind that you want to do, right? So the cool thing is, let's go space bar, and then I'm just going to type in noise. And they've got all sorts of noise in here. They've got noises, clouds, dirt. These are really cool if you're trying to get some very interesting things going on. So like I'll go in here and then I'll either increase or reduce the scale, the disorder. I can change the anisotropy parameters of it, the turn radius, and then you can even blend these together, right? So like I can take this, I don't want this to be this square, so I can hit B, blend. Right, I'm gonna blend this guy and this guy together, and then I can maybe use, right? So now I've got kind of like a circular brush of dirt that I can use, right, in my in my paintings or whatever, right? So this is really cool. So let me go. Let's just do B G, or let's just GRUN. Let's do a grunge. See if I can find, okay, some grunge leaks is pretty cool. BGR. Let's see which one has. I'm looking for some with like some really good. Here we go. This one's cool. All right. All right. Another thing is, because this is a node-based map, I know some people don't know what node-based is, so this might be your introduction to like a node-based workflow. So these are all considered nodes, and then you've got these things right here that you can pull out of it to use to connect to things. It's called a pick whip, right? Because you pick it and it's like a whip. Pick whip, that's what it's called. All right, so I can then pick whip that, and I can start to blend some of these together, right? So now let's just do copy and then maybe opacity, so that I'm putting some of this dirt inside of this this grunge over here, and then I can use this as the mask for it, right? And then I can go in here. Let's go curve. Is there levels? Let's do levels. And what I want to do is I want to kind of slam this so it's more like a mask. I'm just gonna do this. Let's do shape. I'm gonna go shape instead. Let's just do. Okay, a disk. All right. So now if I use a disk as my mask, it's going to, let's do invert. All right, so I can use it as a mask. All right, and then you can still go into the scale of the mask, right? So we can make it a circular mask, right? Now I can either save the image. So can I copy it? I can even copy the image and then go to Photoshop and then paste it in here. Or Control N, Enter, Control V. And that pastes it one for one. And then what I can do is remove this. W on the keyboard will bring up my wand. Select my mask, Shift Control I. Actually, I'm just going to hit remove background. Boom, like that. Convert to a smart object. And then I can file or edit and then define my brush preset once again. I'm going to do this as leaks. Leaks brush 2. Hit OK. And now you can see that I've got my leaks brush now. And then I can just go back in here. And then as you can see how well it defines my brush. Right, and I can use this as like a, either as like if I have an object that I want to paint and I want to add some of this is cool. Or the cool thing now is I can then add some color to it. All right. So you've got a lot of options as to how you can, this would be cool for like rust and things like that you're trying to make. You've got, you want to add some interest. All right, just gonna do this one time. I'm gonna do yellow, make this like, all right. So it's, relatively easy process. It's nothing too crazy. I just wanted to show you guys this and then get you guys loose to kind of make your own, see what you can create, see what you can do. Do you have any questions for me before I proceed? Hey, do you have any questions? Like a red. And you have all sorts of, kind of like grunge brushes that you can use and stuff like that. But these are just so, fun and kind of easy to make that I figured you guys could start off by learning how to create your own Photoshop brushes, and it'll kind of make your artwork a little more stand out a little bit more. All right. All right, and then go B. No. Scribble. And do black again. Yeah, so you can really start to do some major major damage when you start creating your own brushes and stuff like that. You have any questions? Yeah, Control G. All right. So if you don't have any questions for me, you are free to go and try to create your own. Mm. And I'm just using a brush. I'm not even using a Wacom. So there's so much that you can do and get away with. And all right, so I can use this for, you know, just some character kind of development. I'm gonna all right, one thing it doesn't have right now is that scatter feature, and I kind of want that feature. So I'll go in here and then see jitter, no, count, no, that's scatter, I think is it. shape dynamic. Oh, transfer, that's what I want. And then opacity a little bit. All right. All right. So it's a little too jittery. So what I want to do with that is, let's see, my smoothing's up. My okay. There you go. Let's bring this down actually. Scoop it behind. I want to make some like Doc Ock kind of tentacles. Maybe I'll go back to a soft round brush. And then maybe under it. And then for contrast, you're going to want to put a hot white center in the middle. All right. Then you can do maybe some sort of blending mode. And color dodge isn't too bad. And maybe you want to do something where, you know, he's just all energy all the time. It's actually going to do the opposite. No. And then for something like this, you're going to want to go in, obviously, and then just start detailing some of this. Just add a little bit of glow. B. Just following the natural lines that already exist, right? And then you can just gonna use that to some of my color. And then B. Then we'll go back to our shape here. All right, and this is just like one little shape that I created, so you can do so much with this to get it like to look like, you know, some sort of like lightning crackling, you know, kind of deal. So you can kind of, you know, start creating fun little monsters or whatever you want to create, right? And just like that with, you know, just one simple brush, I can create a bunch of different types of things, bunch of different types of pieces, bunch of different, you know. You have any questions for me? And obviously I'm not like going bananas on this. I'm just kind of letting the idea take whatever form of nonsense it wants to. All right. And then sometimes I just control G and then I've got this, control T. You can duplicate this, convert this to a smart object, and then duplicate it, control T, flip horizontally, right? At some point in time, you want to kind of collapse everything into each other. Convert to smart object. Mm. Right. And then you can obviously go back and fill in some of this stuff or do some stuff with the background and let's do red. Let's do green. Some sort of green background. All right. Sometimes my biggest problem is every time I say I'm done, but then I say like, ooh, I could do this, I can do that. So you will, it's easy to get carried away. All right, obviously, very easy to start getting carried away with some of this stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this